I'm Jolene Wynn, and this is the Porn Addict's Wife podcast, episode number 130, Timelines. Your life does not have to revolve around your husband's pornography addiction. You are not defined by his choices or by what he sees on a screen. You are not just the porn addict's wife. You are so much more. In this podcast, I'm going to teach you how to go from handling it to healed, because I've been where you are and you don't have to stay there. My name is Jolene Wynn. I'm a member of the LDS Faith, a certified life coach, and a wife of a former porn addict. And this is a podcast for the porn addict's wife. Hello, my ladies. How are you? I hope you guys are having a great day. I hope you had a great week. I am recording this podcast a little early. I'm going to be gone pretty much the whole month of November. This is nuts. I am recording this early because I'm about to head to my parents. My parents live in Delaware, and I am going to go visit for 10 days, and then we'll be back for like 5 days, and then we go to Florida for an entire week, which will be the week of Thanksgiving. And that's pretty much all of November, and I don't understand where the time has gone or where it's going or why November feels so short. But that is going to be my life. So I am recording a couple of podcast episodes early for y'all, and I am so excited about the ones that I have in line. I have a couple of things that I am going to announce soon. I have another class that you guys are going to love, and it's in December, so keep an ear out for that, but I'm not going to tell you what it is yet because I don't have it ready to be signed up for yet. And then I did want to remind y'all that if you were thinking about signing up for my coaching program, now is the best time. November 15th, ladies, prices are going up. Okay, right now it is $3,000 to join. There are payment plans available. You do get a pay in full discount, and all of the details are on my website. So if you go to jolenewynn.com, you will see all of the details there, and you can just sign up right away on the website, or you can sign up for a consultation call with me. You can talk to me about it, get more details, get some questions answered, and you can sign up for that on my website as well. If you go to jolenewynn.com, there is a little banner up at the top that says click here to sign up for a free consultation call with me today, and you can click on that and it will lead you to my link that will send you to my calendar, and you can sign up for a time that works for you, and you and I will get on a call and we can chat about where you are and where you want to go and what's blocking you, and talk about if coaching is a good fit for you, which if you guys are still listening to this podcast and finding it helpful, I really want to encourage you guys to take advantage of the price being what it is now, because it's never going to get any cheaper. And ladies, there is only so much work I can do for you on the podcast. It can only go so far. Everything that I teach you on the podcast is like, okay, my husband's addicted to porn. Now what do I do? That's what I can tell you. And I can tell you all day long on the podcast what to do, but applying it is a whole nother ballgame. And it can be so much harder to apply it when you don't have any help. Some of you guys are doing it, and I'm so excited for you, and I'm so glad that you are starting to see progress and that you feel like you're making changes. That makes me so happy for you. But I know how much farther I can get you if I'm helping you do it, and I'm helping you see the roadblocks that you can't see yourself. I did this on our last call in the How to Trust course, the masterclass that I did, the How to Trust masterclass, which you guys can go get. On that course, I was talking to one of the women on the call, and I said, she was like, I can't believe I didn't see this, right? I was coaching her on something that she was really struggling with, and she said, I can't believe I didn't see this. And I said, it's okay. It's kind of like when it's so helpful to have someone else look at our brains. That's why coaching is so amazing. It's simply because, it's not because I'm magical, right? It's because I can see things that you can't, because what happens is when we're in our own heads, it's kind of like having blinders on a horse, right? The blinders on a horse, they put them by the sides of their eyes so they only see what's directly in front of them, which is great. It helps them to stay focused, and so they don't get overwhelmed by all the things, especially if they're in like a city or things like that. Like there are times and places where the blinders are great. This is what happens when our brain goes on automatic. When our brain is running automatically, it's actually really great. It's what enables us to get through traumatic experiences, right? When we push things down and power through, when we shove down our emotions and power through, it's actually a great response most of the time, because it enables us not to get too overwhelmed and stop and freeze, right? We are actually able to keep going in traumatic experiences because of this way that our brain works. The problem is that when we don't work on it later, then we stay stuck in that same space, right? So my job is kind of to come in and take the blinders off and to show you how much more there is, how much more of an opportunity there is. What else is there that you're not seeing that's contributing to what you're going through? And this is so powerful because we can only move forward when we know where we're starting. So that is one of the reasons why I love coaching. And I really want to encourage you all to take advantage of this price and this offer because this is the best time to join. We are about to start a brand new year, 2023. And if 2022 wasn't your year, ladies, then let's do something about it. And let's make 2023 even better. And let's get a jump start on it. Okay. Give it to yourself for Christmas. Hubs, I want this for Christmas, early Christmas present, okay? Prices are going up again November 15th, so go to my website, jolenewind.com. You can sign up right there online. You can choose the payment plan or the pay in full, or you can sign up for a consultation call with me and we can talk about it more, okay? All right, today, ladies, I really want to talk to you about timelines. This is something that comes up so much, and it came up with multiple clients on a call this week, and so I wanted to hit it here. Have you ever have this thought of like, I feel like I'm back at square one? Have you guys ever thought that? We have so many different thoughts about time, and it can often create a heaviness to what we're going through that we don't need. And that's what I want to offer to you guys today is how to get rid of that. Okay. So like I said, I had a client that came in and she said, I felt like I was doing really well. I felt like I was making all of this progress. And then all of a sudden I started remembering all of these things with her ex. She's not currently in a relationship. And she talked about it and she was like, and now I feel like I'm back at square one. And then I had another client, and this is why group coaching is so fantastic, because this one client was bringing it up, and then another client came on and she was like, that's exactly what I feel like. I feel like I'm going through this with my husband, and I have been doing really well, and I've been feeling my feelings, and I've been working on retraining my brain, and I'm doing all these things. And then on Sunday, something happened, and I felt all of this negative emotion, and I felt like, oh my gosh, I must not be doing this right. Something must be going wrong. I must not be making progress. None of that is true. When you think of yourself as, when you think of progress and healing as being linear, which is something we often do, we think of it as having a start and a finish, right? It's like, okay, here was D-Day. I hear this so many times. People are like, all right, D-Day was this day. This is the day I found out. This is the day everything hit the fan. Like, this is the day that was terrible. And we kind of figure that as our start date. But then what happens when you think of it that way, which is very tempting to think of it that way, then what happens is we feel like there's kind of a finish line. There must be an end result that we want to get to. Most of us, if we're not watching our brains, will be thinking that the end result that we want is kind of a utopia, kind of a place where everything feels better, where we don't feel negative emotion about it anymore, right? I hear this so often. I just don't want to be on the emotional roller coaster anymore, right? Well, part of the reason that we're on the emotional roller coaster is because we're repressing our feelings and distracting ourselves from them rather than dealing with them. But again, one of the things is I want you guys to ask yourself, what do I think the end is, right? What's the finish line that I'm going for? Most of us don't take the time to actually ask ourselves this question, and it's really important to notice, because if you don't take the time to ask yourself that question, then what's going to happen is your brain's going to have no idea of what the finish line actually is, and so you'll never get there because it will always just push it farther and farther away, right? All you know is that you don't want to be where you started. And right now that's fine, but I want you guys to actually take a look at yourself and your brain and what your brain thinks the finish line actually is. Because here's the other thing, either your brain doesn't have a clear idea of what it wants the finish line to be, or it has a very sneaky thought about what it wants the finish line to be. And sometimes it might look like, well, I really just want him to stop looking at pornography, or I just want to feel happy. And when you have those sneaky finish line ideas, then your brain's going to want to use that as your gauge of progress. And it's going to think you're not making progress if you're not there yet. So what I want to caution y'all against is having that linear idea of a timeline. Having this linear idea of healing and what healing looks like. If you guys could look at me right now, I'm like using my hands to gesture. What we think of as a healing timeline is often, if you think of like, if you're looking at a piece of paper, start in the bottom left-hand corner and draw a straight line up to the top right-hand corner. That's what our brain wants to think healing looks like. The problem with thinking this is that it leaves no room for ups and downs, which is actually what healing looks like, because there's going to be positive and negative emotion in the healing process. But what I want to offer to you guys today is that you don't think of your healing process as a game of chutes and ladders. This is what I said on the call. I said, healing and life is not a game of chutes and ladders. It's not, hey, I start here and then I get 5 spaces forward and then all of a sudden something happens and I have to go back to the beginning. The only thing that's happening is you're feeling some negative emotion. So ladies, I don't care if it's been 5 months, 5 years, or 50 years since you found out about your husband's pornography addiction. It's irrelevant, okay? It doesn't mean that you should be further along. That's the problem when we think in timelines. We think we should be further along than we are. The problem is that time does not heal all wounds. I've talked about this before. Time is not a factor in your healing. Effort is a factor in your healing. When we say time heals, what we really mean is effort heals, right? So when you are making an effort toward healing, whatever that looks like for you, listening to podcasts, journaling, coaching, when you have an idea of what healing actually looks like, when you think that healing looks like only feeling positive emotion, then if negative emotion comes up, your brain's going to think that's a problem, and your brain's going to think you're back at square one. Do you guys see this? The reason this is a problem is because when you think I'm back at square one, it makes you feel defeated, or it makes you feel heavy, or it makes you feel like it's not working. And when we feel like it's not working and we feel defeated, then we're much less likely to take action than when we know that it is working, when we believe that it is working, even if we feel negative emotion. Do you guys follow me? The thoughts that you have about your healing process matter. And when you think in terms of a timeline, what you're often doing too is creating a pressure, a bookend, right? It's a sneaky way of resisting emotion, okay? If you've been healing, if you've been trying to heal from your husband's pornography addiction for like 6 years and you feel no different, I want to encourage you to reevaluate. No matter how much time it's been, it could be 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, I don't care. However long it's been, I want to encourage you to reevaluate. What have you been doing to try and heal from it? And is it working? Because again, the timeline is irrelevant. I hear so often, it's been this long since he's relapsed, I should be over it. As if the timeline had anything to do with it. It doesn't, ladies. Okay? Time doesn't heal you, effort heals you. So if what you're doing is not producing the result that you want, then maybe maybe we need to shift something. What are you going to do that's different right now, starting today, that can help change the result that you're creating? Because it's not going to be time. It's not going to be the number of times or the number of months that pass that create a different result. It's going to be the effort that you put in and what you're doing about it. Does that make sense? Time also does not equal intensity. This is another thought that I want to give you guys, and this is what I mean by this. Sometimes I hear women talk about how long they were hurt, as if that somehow means that their pain is more intense than somebody else's. Okay? Stay with me. This is very tempting to do, okay? Because it validates our feelings, right? So what we want to do is say, oh my gosh, my husband lied to me for 6 years about this. I had no idea. And we want to make that time equal more intense pain, right? Our pain is somehow more valid the longer we were lied to, or the more times he lied. You guys follow me? Do you guys ever do this? This happens so often with my clients. Or let's say that you've been married. I hear this so often. We've been married for 25 years. And he's hid it this entire time, or he's been struggling with it this entire time. And yes, there is going to be some negative emotion that comes with that. But ladies, I want to caution you against using that timeline against yourself. And what I mean by that is adding a layer of intensity and heaviness and weight that you just don't need. Okay, your brain really wants to do this because your brain wants to feel validated in however it's feeling. So if you're feeling a lot of pain and a lot of negative emotion, then your brain wants to say, why is that? Oh, I know why. Oh, it must be because he lied for so many years, right? Oh, it's because of this, because there were so many little deceitful things that he did, or he watched this many hours of pornography. One time I had a client who was really into this, and she even sat down and calculated, like she estimated how many hours of porn he must have watched, like over their marriage. And I thought, and I talked about it and I said, is this helpful for you? Like, how do you feel when you think this? And she was like, well, I feel terrible. It feels horrible. And I was like, then why are you doing it? But one thing is we kind of want to keep ourselves in our misery, as crazy as that sounds, because it validates our pain. It validates the thoughts that we're having. It validates our story that he's the bad guy and we're just the victim and we didn't do anything wrong. And look how bad we've been hurt. And yes, ladies, you've been hurt really badly, but that in and of itself is valid enough. You don't need to add to it with the weight of a timeline to increase the intensity of what you're feeling. Does this make sense? It's not necessarily harder if it's been longer. You're not necessarily feeling worse emotion if it's been a longer amount of time. If he lied for a longer amount of time, if he watched porn every day versus once a month. Again, I'm not saying this as a way to invalidate what you're going through. What I want to offer is that what you're going through and feeling is valid already. You don't need to add to it with the pressure that you put on having a timeline, on having this thought, this idea that time kind of equals intensity, right? You don't need time in order to validate your pain. I don't care if you only did it once. Your pain is valid. I don't care if you did it 1,000,000 times. Your pain is valid. The pain that you're feeling is not intensified based on how long he's been doing it. Okay, you can let all of that go. The only thing that's happening with that is that you're hurting yourself even more. So I want to encourage you, ladies, to start letting go of that thought. What if I didn't need that anymore? What if I was willing to let go of the timeline? What if I was willing to let go of the intensity that comes with thinking about the timeline? Okay. Now, another thing I want to offer about timelines is the reason that we enjoy having a timeline is because we're kind of in a rush sometimes. We want to be in a rush to get out of how we feel, right? We're like, all right, I've been dealing with this for 6 months, 6 years, 16 years. How much longer is this going to take? How many podcast episodes do I have to listen to of this crazy lady before I start feeling better? How many thought downloads do I need to do? How many times do I need to feel this feeling? How many emotions do I need to work through? How long is this going to take before I start feeling better, right? We often want to know the timeline because we're in a rush to get out of our feelings, right? We don't want to feel this negative emotion anymore, right? I've felt this for so long. I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore, right? Which I totally understand. But when you understand emotions and you are confident in your ability to process them, then there's no rush to get out of them. Especially because you understand that emotionally life is going to be 50-50 either way. Whether I'm here or whether I'm over there, whatever there is, whatever my finish line is that I want to get to, it's going to be 50-50. There's going to be 50% positive and 50% negative, whether I'm here or whether I'm at my finish line. And if that's true, then there's no rush. Then I get to enjoy the journey. This is what I was talking about a couple episodes ago on transactional versus transformational processes, right? Relationships with yourself. Think about transactional healing. It's like, I'm willing to go through this as long as I get to the other end. How quickly can I get there? How fast can I go through this? How quickly can I get this done? Let me do my checklist so that I can get there. But there is no better than here. And if that's the case, then the whole point is the transformation that happens along the way. It's who you become in the journey, who you become in the journey of healing, of forgiving, of trusting again, of letting go. That's the point. And if that's the point, then the timeline is irrelevant. Then there is no rush. Then you get to enjoy the journey of becoming the best version of who you are, not simply trying to hustle in order to get there because you think there is better than here. And when that is true, then you release all the pressure of the timeline, right? When there's no rush, then there's no pressure. There's no hustle. Have you guys ever hustled for something? It's exhausting, okay? And all of that goes away. There's no rush. We don't need to get out of your emotions. We actually just need to learn how to feel them. It's a transformation. I was actually on a one-on-one call with a client yesterday. I do one-on-one calls with everybody that signs up, and I do a deep dive emotional processing call. I teach them how to feel their feelings, right? If you guys don't know how to do that, come coach with me. I'll teach you. I do it one-on-one. And I was doing this with her yesterday, and she had just learned how to process an emotion for the first time. And she was describing to me how she felt. And she said, I feel like I'm expanding. And I thought that was such a beautiful description of what actually happens, because what happens is we hold so much negative emotion inside of us that it kind of takes up all of our space emotionally and internally. And it's when we start learning how to let that go, all of a sudden our capacity to feel positive emotion, or even just feel the lack of negative emotion, helps us to feel like we're actually expanding. And that's the whole point, is the transformation, the expansion of who we become along the journey. And I just thought that was so powerful, such a beautiful phrase. I'm expanding. I am expanding who I am. I am expanding my timeline. I'm letting go of the constraints that I put on myself in order to become the version of myself that I want to be. The reason that we feel trapped is because we're trying to get out of our feelings, and our feelings are inside of us, right? Our emotions are something that we feel inside our bodies, and they're temporary unless we suppress them, because then we hold them down longer and they just stay stuck inside of us. And when we are in a rush to get out of those feelings, that's why we feel trapped. It's because we're not actually processing them and letting them go. We're actually just resisting them. We're burying them deeper and trying to get out of them. But it's impossible because they're inside of us. Do you guys see this? It's crazy, and we don't even realize that we're doing it. But that's why we feel trapped. We feel like we get stuck in cycles, right? That's why we feel like we're on this emotional roller coaster, and why we want to get off of it so badly. Again, that's that rush, that timeline. When is this ride going to end? Can't I just get off? I don't want to be on this ride anymore because I'm tired of the ups and downs. Ladies, the reason that we're having all the ups and downs is a lot of the resistance to the emotion that we're feeling. When you understand and you learn how to feel your feelings, then the ride can be as long as it wants, because the ride is the point, ladies. We're supposed to have emotions. We're supposed to feel. We're human beings. If we didn't feel emotions, we would all be sociopaths. We are supposed to have emotions. I want to be sad and upset if my husband watches porn because I choose not to be okay with it. I don't want to feel happy if he does that. I want to feel those negative emotions, as crazy as that sounds, right? We think we would never want to choose negative emotions, and yet sometimes we do. I want to feel sad if someone I love passes away. I want to feel sad if my husband is suffering. I want to feel sad if my kids are suffering. I want to feel sad and upset if my husband watches porn, but I also want to know what to do with it. I also want to know that that's not who I am. I also want to know that I can work through it, and that's what I do know. I don't fear it because I am confident in my ability to handle it if it happens, because the worst thing that can happen is I'll feel a feeling, and I'm really good at feeling my feelings. And if that's the case, then there is no rush. There's no timeline. There's no need to say I'm back at square one, because square one doesn't even exist, ladies. If you really think there's a square one, let's give it to be like the day that you were born. But even then you existed for a couple months beforehand, right? When your mom was pregnant with you. So like even then that's not even square one, right? And I believe that we existed before that as like a soul and a spirit. So where is square one? Like who even cares? Just let go of those thoughts. Let go of that timeline. And what I want to offer as my final thought today is a thought that really helps me. And I offered this to my clients yesterday on our call. And that thought is, what if nothing has gone wrong? Our brain wants to make things a problem. Like my clients yesterday when they were on the call and they were both experiencing negative emotion, their brain thought something had gone wrong and it wanted it to fix it, right? Our brain said, okay, this is going wrong. Why is this going wrong? Oh, it's because I'm back at square one. It's placing meaning, but it only needs a meaning if anything has gone wrong. Why is this a problem? Oh, it's because I'm back at square one. What I want to offer is that when you're in a situation where you're feeling emotion, your brain wants it to be a problem so that it can fix it, so that it can solve it. But what if it's not a problem? So often along this journey, I have felt so much negative emotion, insane amounts of negative emotion. And often my thought and my brain wants to make it a problem. My brain wants to look at circumstances in my life, how much money I'm making, how much money I'm not, whether I have consults, whether I don't. Like, I'm just giving business examples, but this could be whether my husband is relapsing or whether he's going to therapy or whether he's not, whether he seems to be making progress or whether he just fell off the wagon or whatever you want to say, whether I'm making progress or whether I'm feeling really bad that day. What if it's not a problem? What if nothing has gone wrong? What if this is just exactly how I'm supposed to feel today? And it's not a problem. Then I don't need to fix it. Then there's no rush, and there's no timeline, and there's no pressure. And then I just get to be, and I get to exist, and I get to give myself permission to feel all the feelings. And when I give myself permission to feel all the feelings, then I'm not resisting them, and it makes it go even faster. It's crazy. What if nothing has gone wrong, ladies? What if you're exactly where you need to be? What if you are feeling everything that you need to feel? What if you're not behind, right? Here's another thought I hear so often. It's like, I'm behind. I should already be past this. Have you guys ever thought that? It's been so long, or maybe he's already recovered. I should be over this by now. Those are, again, timeline thoughts. There is no timeline. If time healed you, then yes, maybe, but it doesn't. Intentional effort, ladies, that's what heals you. Okay, so let go of the timeline, release all the pressure. Nothing has gone wrong. You are exactly where you should be, and if it's not where you want to be, then what are you going to do about it next? No rush, but you get to decide where you are and what you're going to do next. All right, ladies, I love you so much, and I'll see you guys next week on a brand new episode, so take care. All right, ladies, if you are loving what you are learning on the podcast, I want to invite you to come join my coaching program. This is where we take it to the next level and we actually start applying and learning the how of moving forward. This podcast has taught you the what, and the coaching program is where you're going to learn the how. This is where you learn how to actually start moving forward, process all of that pain that you feel, and let it go once and for all. If you are ready to finally move forward and stop living a life that revolves around your husband's pornography addiction, then I want to invite you to come join me today. Just head to my website, jolenewind.com, and sign up today. I can't wait to see you there.